So today is a very special day for me because it is my birthday. And like all good chess nerds, I've been watching and playing some chess. So I'm taking a brief interlude here from enjoying the day to bring you some World Cup chess. I'm 32 years young, for those who are wondering. I know I don't look a day over 31, right? But this game here had to be covered today. It was played between Gukesh with the white pieces, and he was playing against a fellow Indian player, Narayanan. Also a strong player, 2600s, 25 years old, so a young guy but a little bit older. Now, they already played yesterday. The game was a draw. So today, they either needed to have a result to finish it now or a draw would take it to tie breaks. So let's see what happened here. Gukesh kicked off here with pawn e4. We get e5 from Narayanan, and now the knights develop and we go down the Roy Lopez. Excuse me, couple beers last night, also had a pizza, so I did celebrate yesterday. We now get pawn a6, kicks back the bishop. Now the knight develops, we get castles, standard stuff, but now we see an open Spanish because the pawn is captured. And I've always really enjoyed these positions. You get some quite exciting games. And in a way, this is a bit of a nod to Anand because he loved to play the open Spanish, especially early in his career. So it's great seeing another fellow Indian grandmaster playing it. These are all the standard theoretical moves. And after bishop e7, rook d1, black now gets the king to safety, and c3. Really common idea, keeping an eye on this key d4 square, and also preparing to nudge back the bishop at times, join in an attack. Because that's so common here, white often attacks the black king, tries to use this advanced pawn. Black, for their part, often clears this knight out the way, looks to push for c5, maybe d4 if you can achieve it. So knight c5 was now played, attacks this bishop, and here it nudges back, and the bishop now heads for g4. So pressuring this knight, and thereby pressuring this advanced pawn. Is it a strength? Is it a weakness? Well, that's one of the battles now. So h3 is played, allowing black to eliminate this one, but it wasn't played. It looks like you can just nab a pawn, but then queen f5 is the response. So you threaten mate, you also hit this knight, and so after knight g6, forced, well now this d pawn drops off the board. So black definitely has to be a bit mindful of this one. That's the black weakness here. That's what they have to take care of. So the bishop just drops back. We see knight bd2 developing, rook e8. It develops into the game, starts to pressure on this pawn. Knight b3 now played, challenging this one, and we see bishop f8, a classic underdeveloping the move that actually activates another piece though. You can see this pressure is now critical on the e-pawn, and that's why Gukesh lashes out with g4, kicks back this bishop, and now he takes on c5. So this bishop from f8, it springs back out into the attack, and now I love how Gukesh looks to seize the initiative here. So he kicks on with pawn to b4. Not a forced way to play, but he's playing on both sides of the board here. Look at all these advanced pawns here. Gaining space, beautiful, but sometimes those kind of pawn moves can come back to bite you. So you do have to be careful. Now, the bishop drops back to b6. We get bishop f4 played, adding some support here. Now we get queen d7, completing the development, and after bishop b3, pressuring the d-pawn, the knight drops back to e7, supports that pawn in the center, and also clears the way here to push on with pawn c5. So a4 now from Gukesh. He's probing at this pawn as we can see. c5 in response, we get captures, bishop captures, and now the knight centralizes, classic square for that knight, supports ideas like this possibly in the future, looks at these squares as well, so that's a very, very powerful piece. And actually, the computer's favorite way to play here is just chop it straight off the board. Give white the bishop pair, yes, but then just play this position, try and stay solid. You can look after this pawn, and it wants to bring a rook to the c file soon and start targeting this pawn. But okay, white's still with a small advantage. But what we see in the game is pawn b4. The computer, not a big fan. because after captures, which Gukesh plays, bishop recaptures, we now get this rook coming to the c-file. And this is actually quite nasty, because you can see the knight's looking at this square here, and also there could be ideas now excuse me, of pawn e6, and then you open this bishop converging on the c7 square with the rook. So bishop a5 is now played, presumably fighting against that tactic, but it's not an accurate move. You know, if I run it back one move, what does it say? Queen b7, top way to play apparently. Queen a7, second top way. Okay, but bishop a5 played. Now the top white move here is bishop to g5. Second top is e6, but Gukesh finds the third top move. But what I really like about Gukesh's move is it's extra tricky. So he jumps in with this knight to c6. Now it looks impossible, because after the black knight takes, which is the best move, you've literally just given up a piece, and for what? So bishop d5 was played, you win a pawn, okay, nice. But the idea here is that you're actually winning back the piece by force, because there's pressure on this one now, you're threatening to win it. Now, the best move is moving the knight, and that's what we see in the game. But what happens if you defend the knight, you know, break the pin as well at the same time? Well, simply white can capture, and you've no time to actually take back, or you drop your queen. If you take with the queen, you still drop your queen. In every variation, the queen drops off, it's good for white. So trying to defend the knight doesn't make any sense. And what black should do is take this pawn. Because the knight's going to drop anyway, the best way to go is win a pawn in response to it, but it gets very complicated. You know, there's a lot of lines here. So white picks up the rook in the corner, unleashes this attack, plus there's pressure here and everything like that. So the best black response is this move of knight d3. You also hit the bishop, although your queen is pinned here. Now queen f3 is best for white. Let's just stick with the line, right? So it defends this one in the corner, also covers here. There's still an x-ray down here. Queen e7 best. This is how the line now goes. You know, I'll flick through these moves, and at the end of the line, the material's equal, although white still does have some pressure. You know, this is where I'll stop the line. The black pieces are still a bit less coordinated. Advantage white here, about a pawn and a half. But okay, when Narayanan was calculating, obviously something in that line he didn't like with taking the pawn. So he jumps with knight b4, but this is a mistake. You can see the evaluation bar respond. So why has he done this? Well, Gukesh takes the rook, he picks up the exchange, the queen takes on a4. By the way, we didn't get recaptures here. Once again, the problem is your queen drops off. So that's why the queen takes on a4. And the whole idea is that now after rook a1, kicking the queen, and now the bishop retreating, is that yes, you've saved that bishop. You know, obviously you had to, you couldn't let your queen drop, and now you've saved the bishop. So yes, that's all happened. But even though black's an exchange down, in this line, you do have the passed a pawn, and this is what Narayanan would have been banking on. Get that one running at some point, make it dangerous. But as we'll see in the game, it doesn't quite come to fruition, because the technique here from Gukesh is just sensational. You know, the queen snags another pawn on h3, pressures g4, so Gukesh nudges the bishop back to cover that square. You didn't want to let that pawn drop. Could lead to perpetuals, could lead to this rook dropping off, you know, if you'd ever taken that bishop here. And now bishop c7 was played, saving that one. But watch how Gukesh now just ends the game in a few moves. So he first brings this rook back to the c-file. The pawn's actually immune. No matter how you take that one, right? Whether you take like this, well then you can sack the queen because there's a mate on the back rank. And if you do the same, you know, coming back here, say you do it with the rook, same kind of tactic. So it's no good to take the pawn. That's why the bishop now drops back. It was attacked. And now rook c5 is an excellent idea. It prepares to double the rooks as well as covering this pawn. And black is basically paralyzed. We see pawn h5 played. Gukesh doubles the rooks, ignoring that one. Narayanan now takes with the queen, and this is actually the computer's top move. There was barely anything better, you know. Black's just completely in a bind. We see the queens come off. Pawn recaptures, so that's 2 pawns extra now for the exchange, but bang, this move finishes the game on the spot, because if you capture that rook, we take back with check, and then your bishop drops on the next move. And if you don't capture the rook, say you go rook f8, the same problem. You take, check, rook c8, you're picking up a piece, of course, completely game over. So Gukesh is absolutely marching on. He's on the verge of overtaking Anish Giri and Wesley So in the live ratings list. For anyone who doesn't know, if you go to a website, I mean, let me see if I can show you this quick, 2700chess.com, and this gives you the live ratings, and you can see, you know, top players in the world here and what their live ratings are. So Gukesh is up to 9, but really close now to jumping to even 7th in the world. Just awesome from this young man. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see another exceptional game of epic chess, check out the video on screen, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching.